Before I go on, so this is the French translation. If you want to scan, you can scan this for the French translation, and it's ongoing also. The last award, this is the Wangari Maathai Impact Award. So I say something briefly about who Wangari Maathai was. She was the first, Africa first female Nobel laureate who is internationally recognized for her contribution for democracy, peace, and sustainable development in Kenya and across the greater African collective. She was born in rural Kenya, became the first woman in East and Central Africa to earn a doctorate degree, and following that, be appointed to associate professor. Alongside her academic career, Professor Maathai was a vociferous environmental and political activist and was central to Kenya's first multi-party elections in 1992, during which she strove for free and fair elections. She went on to serve in the Kenyan government as Assistant Minister for the Department of Environment and Natural Resources from 2003 to 2007. Her deep connection with the environment led her to found a Pan-African environmental organization called the Green Belt Movement, whose goal was to reduce poverty and promote environmental conservation. She was a fierce advocate for women, serving on the National Council of Women of Kenya for 11 years and uplifting the lives of several women through her organization. Her contributions were recognized in 2004 when she was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, and she continued her inspirational work, founding the Wangari Institute for Peace and Environmental Studies in partnership with the University of Nairobi, also chairing global initiatives to protect African forest regions, and was appointed a UN Messenger of Peace on environmental and climate change. Professor Maathai left a lasting impact on our continent and the world, and through this award, we form a continuity of a spirit and recognize the next generation of impactful Africans. So, 2 awards. That basically the award is open to individuals, teams, organizations, technological, social, environmental, or economic ideas are welcome for this award. Okay. Oh. All right. So we have a runner-up, and the runner-up award was given. This is the award of a trip to attend the Deep Learning Indaba, as well as a $500 cash prize. And the award today is given to Anine Duclair Kenner as a runner-up. So Anine, just completed her master's education at the Johannes Kepler University in Linz, Austria, and she came all the way from Austria as well. So we are very happy to have you here, and please come.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank the Deep Learning Indaba and the organizing committee of the Deep Learning Indaba, and also the organizer of our session for giving me this opportunity to attend this wonderful meeting with amazing people. So I'm very honored to receive these recognitions, and I'm always inspired by the impactful idea of Wangari Maathai about the technology and environmental conservation. So I'm very happy to contribute to these projects, and yeah, winning, be recognized by this award, let me understand that I can do better than I have done before, and also that every woman in this room can do it. So thank you once again, and together let's build Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Amin. Okay, so to give the first place to for the Deep Learning Award for Maathai, a trip to Deep Learning in Indaba, of course, and then $1,000 cash prize, and a trip to NeurIPS in 2025. So usually the person who won last year is going to the NeurIPS this year, and then the person who wins this year will go to the NeurIPS next year. So the sponsorship is provided or is helped in collaboration with the Black in AI community as well. And to receive the award is Grace Mutoni Kamburi, who receives the 2024 Wangari Maathai Impact Award. Please, a clap will do, a clap will do. Okay, so Grace will talk about her project, her submission that won her and her team this particular award. So thank you very much.
Is a video that's supposed to be.
Ah, yes. Where am I?
Did you make it full screen? The green one.
A green one?
Yeah. Yes. Good. It's supposed to have some. Pause it, please. I don't know why it's supposed to have some.
We'll need the sound.
Driven by a passion for technology and environmental stewardship, our team embarked on a mission to understand, quantify, and reduce the carbon footprints of vehicles on our roads. This has passion for technology and environmental stewardship, our team embarked on a mission to understand, Every day, thousands of vehicles navigate our roads, each contributing to the air that we breathe. But how much do we truly know about the impact and quantity of these emissions? Driven by a passion for technology and environmental stewardship, our team embarked on a mission to understand, quantify, and reduce the carbon footprints of vehicles on our roads. This has always been the chant by government.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Grace Kaimburi. I am the recipient of the Wangari Maathai Impact Award, and I am proud to be here. I'm taking this moment to explain to you the work that technology has to do within the environment sector and to do with climate change. So a video was supposed to be played, and I believe the sound technicians are helping with that. But going on straight to the slides, I believe there's some slides that are supposed to be showing. My project is to do with the roads. Now, everyone uses cars once in a while, at least once in a day you use a car. But how much do you really know about the emissions that your car emits in a day, and what do you do about it? So I started a research to find out what do we need to know about our emissions. Can we get real-time emissions from your car? Now, there's always a question I ask myself. Where does our research go? So you get to do a paper, publish it, then what? Well, I'm glad my research did not close by just publishing, but instead I innovated a device called Emission Pulse. Emission Pulse is a device that is easy to install on any car, be it a manual car or a hybrid car. It relays to you information about your emissions as soon as you're able to connect. Using the near-field connection for IoT developers in the house, we are able to relay information about your emissions to you on real time. Why is this important? You need to know the impact that you have on climate. No matter how small, no matter how big, you need to be accountable. Whenever we call out, let's go plant trees, let's go do what, I saw in my country people did not take initiative, reason being that they did not feel like they are part of climate change. But the reality of the matter is that you, how big, no matter how small, are part of the change. So this research is already published, and I hope I'll be able to give the link later on. Yes. So just a few slides telling about the background. So we lack real-time data on the emissions of cars, specifically in Kenya. If you ask for the emissions, let me know the emissions of cars in 2020, 2024, we don't. We just have general emissions from the environment. They just, collect general emissions. But can we know the emissions from the transport sector? Now that was a problem that I identified and was validated by a feasibility study, through which the next step was creating the solution. Now the objectives of this solution was to get real-time data from your car. And we are now, I say we because I have a team with me, and in our research we have been able to get we are now in the currently in alpha stage, we're alpha testing stage in development and also refining of the device. And we have been able to meet these objectives, getting the comparative analysis of your car that is able to actually lead to the prediction of your emissions. This helps you to plan, helps you to make better choices, and helps you to preserve the environment. Now, this is just but the model of the data flow of information on the system, from the data collection to data processing to the data storage, the retrieval, and finally, if we are able to, share it with you on an interface that you're able to interact with. Now, this is Emission Pulse, a very simple device, but a device that has been able to show that technology really does have a place to play when it comes to climate change. Now, it is a small device, but very easy to install on a car and able to transmit data from your car to your cell phone. This is the application. So you connect to the application that comes in with the device. And as I said, we haven't launched this product yet. And if you are seated in the crowd and would like to partner with us in this research and development of this product, we would like to talk with you later on. Just some more features of the application that is already developed. We are able to give you statistics of your emissions every day, everywhere that you want to, anywhere that you want to connect from, you're able to find it. Will actually save us a lot of time when it comes to beating climate change, because we will understand what the transport sector actually contributes. And you as an individual, you will be able to understand the impact of your travels all over. Now, this is just the beginning of Emission Pulse. And as we continue with this research, of course, we have some references of the papers that were cited in the research paper that was published. I want to also thank the team. So I don't work alone, but I do have a team of developers and machine learning engineers. And these are people that have made Emission Pulse from an idea into a reality. And I'll just want to close with this. Everybody, no matter how big, no matter how small, you contribute a lot to the environment. You contribute a lot to this planet. And you can play a very big role, no matter how big, no matter how small. Emission Pulse, every emission counts. Thank you so much.
Unfortunately, we couldn't gotten an error already. Okay, thank you very much. So we get ready for the next section.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, everyone is tired. Okay, I would like to introduce our panelists to come in front. So we have our, okay, I don't want to say the last session, but session for the closing remark, which is the most exciting session. It's going to bring a lot of discussion. We're trying to bring people from different backgrounds, different sectors to come here to the stage, and then we'll bring a lot of questions. So I would like to ask Girma, Siko, Sabrina, Raul, Sibo, Benjamin, Ibuli, Can we have the slide?
You good, yeah? Thanks. Good afternoon, everyone. Come on, good afternoon. We have the panel discussion. We hope it will be a great reflection after a great week of Indaba. And I will be moderating this session. My name is Grimao. The first line of question, first of all, thank you for the panelists to join the conversation. Some of you with my last minute request, really appreciate it. That's what we call the Indaba spirit, right? Thank you very much. So I will not try to introduce you, but since we have enough time, I would say I will give a chance first to introduce yourself, and since there may be new Indaba attendees, some of them with some experience, share a point or two about what's Indaba for you, really. So I will start with Sibu, since you are next to me.
Sure, thank you. So hi everyone, I'm Sposisiwe Makanya. I'm part of the IBM Research Africa team based in Johannesburg. I manage the teams that work there. When it comes to Indaba, Indaba is, I know, for some of the meetings that happen in South Africa, Indaba is a common word that is used in terms of people congregated. And that's how I see, the deep learning Indaba. It's about coming together as a community, sharing our experiences, and then charting, what's the next step for us as a group. So I think I see it as a coming together of us as, Africans in the space of machine learning, AI, data science, and also being open to others who wouldn't traditionally be in some of the disciplines that we may be coming from, being open to them joining and being part of the community. So that's how I see Indaba.
Sekou.
All right, so good afternoon. We're in the home stretch, guys. My name is Sekou. I'm a senior research scientist at Google Research Africa. I am based in Kenya, but from there I get to work with an amazing group of people. Indaba for me is an adventure. It's always evolving. You never know what you're going to find around the corner in a room. There are people from all walks of life present. There are people with energy, people with ideas, things that you would never have thought about before. But there's a commonality. We're all here because we believe that better is possible, and we're willing to contribute to that better. For me, that's the core. Yeah, thanks. That's the core of Indaba. There's a spirit that together we can do these things. And yes, I am riffing off of a previous Indaba motto. But there's a construct that is here, which is amazing. We are having a mountaintop experience because we will go back to our various homes. Some of you will be on buses, some of you will be on very long flights. But know that the energy that you felt here, those people will keep being energetic even though you're far away. I know this because I felt it at my first Indaba, and in the time since then, I've gotten to see it continue. So that, for me, is what Indaba is.
Thanks, Sekou. Sabrina?
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Sabrina. My day job is managing a data science team in the travel industry. And I'm also co-founder of Afric Climate AI. Maybe you've heard of it. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. And I have so much to say about what the Indaba means to me, so I'll try to keep it as short as possible. This is my fourth Indaba, and since I came to the first one in Nairobi, I was like, I want to come here every year, no matter however it takes. So if I had to sum it, it's the only place where I'm surrounded by as many people, and I feel we all have the same values, we all have the same goal. We all have the same fire burning. And this is really the place for me to rekindle that fire because, yeah, we go back and life happens and we just forget. But this is the place where we talk about the problems that are really dear to us and we find the people who we want to work with on that. And I'm sure lots of you have gone through this experience this week and you're going not only with memories, but also with new relationships and new projects and new ideas. So that's in a nutshell.
Thanks, Sabrina. Benji?
Hello, everyone. It's weird looking at a picture of myself from a few years ago and getting all sorts of strange flashbacks. Nothing makes you feel old like that. I'm Benji, and it's awesome to see so many people still awake. I wear many different hats. at the core, I'm a full professor at the University of the Witwatersrand in South Africa, where I run the Rail Lab and now the AI Institute there and various other things. I'm a co-founder of Lalapa and the chief science officer there, and then probably most relevant, one of the co-founders of the deep learning Indaba. And it's absolutely wild that this weird experiment that we tried a few years ago turned into this magnificently glorious thing and all these amazing people I'm seeing. What is the Indaba for me? Well, at this point, probably the most intense, inspiring, and exhausting week of my life. And super excited to come back every single time. But it's also, I think, a window into what I think the future of Africa does look like. People from every single corner of the continent coming together on equal footing to say that, you know, we are one, we're a very strong community, and we do the most incredible, amazing, and inspiring things that really is first rate and best in the world. And it's just something that I just hope goes on forever.
Thanks, Peji. Raul?
Thanks a lot. I should start also saying that my picture is also a bit old. I think, well, in the field it's a very common thing. So my name is Raul. I'm a senior researcher at INRIA in Paris, France. I'm also leading a research group in Paris, which is Astra Vision, working on computer vision. So I don't touch on all AI aspects, right? My field is really computer vision. And I actually connected with Indaba a bit randomly. Probably a day I was not really working at work, started typing on the internet. What are the initiatives that exist on artificial intelligence in Africa? And I ended up on the Indaba website. I don't even remember who I contacted, some of the founders, maybe you, I don't know who. And they replied. And since then, it's been 3 years that I'm coming to Indaba. I was in contact with them in 2019, but then COVID, etc. And since 2022, I'm coming every year. I've started a series of workshops on computer vision. The last one happened yesterday. Also, computer vision summer school on the continent, African Computer Vision Summer School. Check it out. And I mean, Indaba is for me really the birthplace of the new talent. And it's really fun because when I come here, I keep thinking that probably not everyone, but a fraction of you, a certain amount of you is going to be really the leader in AI, not only in Africa, and I insist on that, but at the world level. And that's what is really, really exciting for me. This. And I want to say that there is a very specific spirit about Indaba. And whenever I'm in the huge conf of the fields, and I'm in CVPR or NARIPS or whatever, and I meet someone from Indaba, there is a click. There is a different spirit, and we hug each other, and like this makes my day.
Thanks, Raul. Ebele?
Hello, I'm Ebele Okobi. I have just started working with OpenAI as a senior policy advisor with a focus on Africa. This is actually my very first Indaba, so it's difficult for me to match the context, but I can say what I had hoped I would find, and that is beloved community, that is radical imagination, and a real genuine centering of Africa and Africans in a community. And when I say community, I say tech as a whole, because before OpenAI I've been in tech for 15 years, but in a community that often pushes Africa and Africans to the margins. So that's my hope.
Thanks, Ibele. The second point I want us to discuss is, of course, we are in Indaba, a great community, vibrant ecosystem, various workshops, talks, and representation, whether it's academic, startup, big techs, and so on. But it's also important to remember that AI as a technology has its own merits, but also concerns. So even if we do a lot of research, a lot of applications, I want us to discuss what are your concerns about AI in Africa in general? And when we end Indaba week in a few couple of hours, what should people take from this conversation? And probably a lot has been said about the positive impact, but let's discuss the concerns as long as Africa is concerned. Let's start from Benji, if that's fine, then I will pick a few.
Cool, thanks. I mean, obviously there's so much to be excited about and feel optimistic about, but there's definitely a lot of things to be concerned about as well. And, you know, I think these run the gamut from concerns that are maybe less relevant now, well, still relevant, people spending a lot of time working on things that are maybe the wrong things to work on or not important, or replicating work that someone in the neighboring country might be doing as well. And I think a lot of these things we're trying to address with the community coming together. There's a lot of worries about how AI might roll out and might affect our futures, right? So with all the positives that they can bring, there's many risks that we see all over the world, ranging from misinformation to malicious use of the technology, to people being left out because they're unable to access it in different ways. And then in a very different way, something that I'm also worried about is kind of the way that we perceive ourselves and that we're perceived. And I think a lot of this comes down to, you know, are we firstly kind of pushing ourselves forward as doing research that's kind of relevant and important to really the whole world? And part of this comes down to, you know, when we publish a paper, is it a paper that's accessible to everybody, or are we sitting in a corner in a kind of workshop or something that's just for other Africans, where we might be inventing new technologies that are useful to anybody and they're not getting exposed to it and we're not communicating with that part of the community. But this could also come down to, are we actually developing new ideas within AI, or are we kind of buying into a narrative that we should just be consuming tools developed in other parts of the world to solve our problems? And I think we really need to make sure that we're kind of taking ownership and saying that, you know, anything that can be done anywhere in the world, we're part of that community too. We can do that here as well. And we're certainly not kind of second-class members of the global AI ecosystem.
Thanks, Benji. Sibu? And then I will come back to Rao.
So maybe another thing that probably worries me is on two fronts. So one is just AI literacy. I was in one of the workshops that was discussing AI policy, and Vukosi pointed out something that was important, that, you know, he sits on many of these, let's say, forums where the discussion is around developing governance frameworks for AI. And what he's realized is, you know, the first point of call is to actually, for 10 minutes, actually discuss what is AI. So you have policymakers that are discussing ways to govern AI, and, you know, they don't have a level of literacy to really understand what AI is. So how do you start to regulate something that you don't understand? So, and it's not just in terms of those that are in policy-making sphere, but just also the general public. You know, just that AI literacy is something that I've realized is an important issue to address. The other issue to address is just how do we also make sure that within our university, I think there was another comment in the same session around universities that, I think the example was in Kenya, that don't have, you know, AI as, like, from a training perspective, mainstreamed within the various departments, or let alone undergraduate, postgraduate degrees in that space. And you start to see it on the other hand when you're dealing with enterprises. One of their biggest worries is around talent, especially when it comes to AI. So, you know, how do we fast track, you know, training of, you know, professionals in this space, but then also how do we proliferate an understanding of AI within the other departments within universities, so that they have, those students coming out of those departments have a good understanding of AI and the opportunities and the gaps of AI as well. So I think for me, the skills perspective is something that needs to be addressed, and communities like Indaba have a huge role to play in that respect.
Thanks, Sebo. Raul, any of the panelists, when you have a point or two to make, you could always chip in. But you, for the first time, searched for initiatives in AI in Africa. You found Indaba, and it has been a few years. And you have been co-organizing the Computer Vision Summer School and other engagements as well. Now, look back and you see the dynamics, Africa and I. What's your perspective about the concerns we need to be aware even more going forward?
I think my point would be about human. We're talking about AI, we're talking about technology, and I think where I'm the most scared about is that we forget human in the loop. What I mean about human is that we forget that we're not only doing and taking rational logic decision, and AI is doing that, right? It's doing it well, it's doing it much better than human, but our whole history and who we are is also based on exploration, on intuition, on creativity, and of course, I want to enter the debate of whether AI can do creation or not. That's a whole other debate. But I think it's really important that we keep the human in the loop of our model that we train, our decision that not everything should be based on pure AI, and we need to be kept somewhere in the loop. And that's probably one thing that scares me. And another thing that kind of connects, and I'll go to the part of the current situation and the development. Another thing that connects is that there could be also a kind of uniformity of knowledge on the planet. And I think that's something that we should fight. We're all a big user of ChatGPT, of course, and all the Gemini, etc. And these are global knowledge and global, one kind of average view of the world, which is, of course, dominated by the Western data set and Western views. But whether it's the Western or any other views, I think this is important that we keep the differences that we have in the world. And we need to build, and currently on the continent, I can see that that's something really unique about that you see on the AI on the continent in Africa, is that there are unique initiatives, there are different ways of applying AI, and that's, I think, where you should continue fighting for these unique directions. Talking about the summer school, we had big chance of having also Guillermo, and we need a lab like yours, for example, doing good thing for AI. I know it's the name of your group, so AI for good.
Trying. Thanks, Raul. Great points. Skilling, the need for foundational research, and also the human-centered approach, and also the value of keeping a bit of our identity raised already. Sabrina, a point to add?
Yeah, actually just building on that, because human in the loop, I want to emphasize a bit more the role of the human in the design even. Maybe my worry is that we're not necessarily including the end user in the design, and that, you know, there is these two ways of doing things. You can do fundamental research and you can do product-oriented research. I have the feeling we can't afford to do just one. We're a bit late, so we always have to do a bit extra. So for example, if you're doing plant disease detection, go and talk to that farmer. Like, do you have a phone? Do you have internet? And all of these things. Same for every single problem. So we need really to have this product-driven, impact-driven thinking. And it's not just a research that gets me my degree. And here we can talk about incentive and everything behind it. But I think if we just change a bit the mindset that I want my AI to have an impact, not just in the academic world, but on a everyday basis, and I want to be able to talk about my AI to someone who has no clue about AI and find a way to explain it and find a way to deploy it. that could help really in the long term, because the disconnect is unfortunately not shrinking much over the years.
Great point, Sabrina. The disconnect is not shrinking. Unfortunately, I agree. This actually takes me back to a policy question I have for Ibele. Of course, it is a very critical domain, AI, but when we focus in Africa, you have the question of the data sharing agreement. Do you have the policy, which is very important? At the same time, how do you come up with a policy if there is no greater consensus about the technology? If the policymakers are informed about AI in the first place, why do we need to rush them to come up with a policy which is ill-informed? So we always have this confusion between should we stick and have all the policy strategy and agreement first before we dive into AI across different sectors. But of course, you know, the conversation somewhere else is like we have strict policy regulations, but that means sometimes you will do nothing in the local bureaucracy. So we often have this confusion and the focus of our discussion. What do you see for Africa from policy perspective and especially AI considered?
Okay, so I think I would start before we even get to the point where we're regulating, and I think the reason why is I think we have to think about what is the world that we want to create, and we is a very diverse question because there isn't one particular world. And I think I would start with what concerns me, because I think what concerns me will lead to the policy environment that I think makes sense. And one, I think, so we live in a world that's ruled by extractive sort of vulture capitalism, like that's the logic. We also live in a world where the few are privileged at the cost of the many. And if you're looking at that, if you're looking at systems of power, systems of harm, if AI is built on top of that, all it does is validate the systems of harm that already exist. So if we're thinking about what a policy environment should be, in my view, the policy environment should really be cognizant of the world in which we live in. The policy environment should really look at how can we create actually an equitable world? How can we create policies that don't continue to propagate the systems of harm and the systems of privilege that already exist? I also look at who's at the table, so who's creating. So if the people who have been benefited or privileged by the systems of harm or the system in which we live in are the only people making the rules, are the only people creating the technology, then you're recreating those systems. So when I'm looking at policy, when I'm thinking about policy, I'm thinking about who's making the decisions, who's in the room when decisions are being made. And when we're talking about global decisions, if global decisions are actually only made by a few countries, then are those policy decisions going to be decisions that benefit everyone else? And then if you bring it down to the country level, I think thinking about, I talked about imagination when I first started, but thinking about creating a policy environment that allows people to radically reimagine the world. So often because of how AI has been used in certain countries, there's a sense that it's going to have that same use case in other countries. And I think a policy environment that allows for a radical imagination, that allows people to dream different dreams that are much more appropriate for their particular environments, for their particular countries. And so in short, regulation, you need to have the type of regulation in place that protects people, that in some way looks ahead, but you also need to have the type of regulations that is flexible enough to help people imagine worlds that are different from the ones we have now.
Thanks, Ibele. On point, really appreciate it. I'll go back to Sekou, who I don't know if he ever missed an Indaba engagement, a veteran, but also very active in different communities and different employers in the continent. AI research sometimes could be hard, given all the concerns we shared. What are the best practices you put in place to do, for AI research and potentially for adoption for practical setting on the ground? Any new things learned about AI research in Africa?
So, loaded question. Thank you, Girma, my friend. So first I would say, what is research? Let's step back to that. Research is broad. There are elements of research. So there is somebody somewhere, I don't know if they're in this room, who has studied the history of pushing a button. I am certain there's a textbook written on pushing buttons somewhere. To write a textbook, you'd have to study. What kinds of things would you have in a textbook about pushing buttons? Well, maybe humans' relationship with buttons. Yes, buttons are technologies. Buttons did not exist. They had to be made. There's an element of understanding even the latency of pushing a button. There's a TV show called Lost, which was all about pushing a button. Well, literally, there's a NASA TLX instrument that can even study the relationship between the complexity of a task and your ability to perform that task under different settings. But okay, why does this matter? Somebody somewhere had to figure out that 250 milliseconds was as close to real time, as close to an immediate response. Somebody somewhere needed to study what pushing a button looked like. On the other end of a spectrum, you're talking about generative models these days. Somebody somewhere also needs to study the effect of talking to a GPS device as you're navigating traffic in Dakar. Your relationship with your GPS device might be very different if you're in, I don't know, what's this toll road called? I don't remember the name of the road. If you're navigating traffic in that context versus if you're in the city center. There's an element of research which, when I tell you there is no rhyme or reason that one can say what is research other than you have a question that is linked to hypothesis, there is a research method that can be applied. We need multiple types of research to be represented in this room. In Africa, we need multiple types of research because even for the same problem as NLP, low resource NLP, there are many angles that we need to study this problem, not just we need more languages, or not just we need smaller models, or not just we need to be able to fine-tune large models with less resources. There's research to be done in all of those spaces, but there's also research about how we use this technology and what is needed for the future. I go back to that because there are times when people say, hey, this is not research. Okay, sometimes they may be right. It may be a research project, but not a research enterprise. But there is likely true foundational and also true applied research in whatever the topics that we're engaging in. And my particular linking to what I'm worried about, I'm worried about some of us may be pushed away from the table because where we started might not have been received as something that was substantive. Where we start should not be where we end, but where we start is important because it is part of what we are bringing to the equation, what we are bringing to the process of doing research.
Thanks, Sekou. Any points? Sibu.
Maybe just to add on to that, AI governance is also separate from responsible AI, and I think there's also a space when it comes from a research perspective for us to look at. I know we normally look at the performance of our models, but to also start to look at issues around the safety and reliability of our models, especially as we start to deploy them in all kind of applications, but more especially in more sensitive applications such as healthcare. So I think we also have a part to play when it comes to being, developing responsible AI systems. So I think we should probably do more in that space as well from a research perspective. Yeah.
That's a great point, actually. You just touched my second question. To make it like probably among the attendees are new students who are contemplating research AI and next year in the future. And given your line of work, expertise domain, what are the new research directions people should consider as their next research domain? There is always flow with the majority, but you may come across this is particular research question is not well researched, especially for Africa. Students could consider them. And is there any one, two critical research questions you may have to share with the great attendees we have here?
There is something that seems to be percolating that I would love someone or someone's in this room to explore. The relationship between language and machine learning / AI education. There's an unofficial narrative that we need more content in multiple languages. I remember walking in Tunisia with the delegation from Senegal that says everybody should speak Wolof and we should be learning we should be learning AI and machine learning in Wolof. But then there was some within that group that said, that same group that says, no, I would prefer to learn it in English. Right? We need to unpack what that means. And I think that there are many, maybe in social sciences, that might have an opinion or a hypothesis, but people in this room should be studying that as well. I picked Wolof because we are here, but I'm certain that this applies even between English and French. 2019 was also my first Indaba, and I remember having a conversation at breakfast one morning. Somebody from, I think it was Ivory Coast or Côte d'Ivoire, said that they did not want to learn computer science in French. And I couldn't understand it. I thought that it was, okay, well, maybe the reason is the textbooks aren't there. But then I thought about that as well. You have entire countries that are in the global north that speak French and have textbooks. But then some pointed out that many of our luminaries in the field in those countries are teaching in English. What is the effect of that? What is the impact of that? What does it mean for the broader ecosystem? I think that this is something that may not have been considered as an important topic, but I really do think it's important because it will open more doors.
Great. I think some noted the point. Sabrina, Benji, Raul, anyone?
I can add a bit completely different perspective. Hearing about climate yesterday for the whole day, and I'm a bit biased. And I think there is urgency in that. Of course, it's very important. Like, every topic is important, but there are things where we need more people at every different level: data level, model level, operational level. Climate is one of them. I think regardless of the domain or the topic we pick, it's important to commit to it and really do our best and finish the whole project with the end user in mind, with how it's going to have impact in mind as well. And beyond that, of course, every topic is important, and especially on the continent. So, like, it's really it's something I've seen often. Sometimes there is a hype associated to certain things, and we might want to do it because this is where the money is, or this is what everyone is talking about. But there are also other domains that are extremely important, and I don't know, like, I don't want to sound controversial, but if we don't have electricity and we're flooded, I don't know if we care about Alexa speaking this or this language. So, like, we just need to have an open mind about the problems that are looking at us right now instead of what everybody else is looking at.
Great. Climate is very, very critical. Actually, I have a follow-up question since I have this opportunity. We had Climate Week last week, I guess, in Nairobi, and there was a consensus in Africa, mostly the research, the effort is more of adaptation than mitigation. Since you already mentioned that you are closer to the community, is that the case?
Well, that's almost a philosophical one. I think, honestly, at this point, we need everything. Adaptation is very, very critical in my point of view, and that's what we've been establishing. Models that are developed without Africa in mind do not work for Africa. So that's number one. We cannot even start from there. So we need to adapt, and we need many different ways to do that. I think that's the first step, right? Like we need a start point, and then we can maybe have a better clarity on the solutions.
Great. Benji, Raul, Ebele, those new research directions people should consider from your perspective.
So I think maybe before that, there's a general principle that I always advise students on, and that's always do the coolest thing you can with the coolest people that you can find. And I mean, there's actually a lot in there to unpack. So firstly, do something you really believe in that means a lot to you. I mean, if there's something else you'd rather be doing, why are you not doing that? We don't live in a world where just by being in Africa or something, you're limited in what you can work on. You've really got the freedom to do anything you believe in. Nothing's a crazy sci-fi project that's relegated to some other part of the world only. You can really do anything. And also when you think about this, you don't take on a project because you need to do something that looks like a small paper so you can get your master's. You work on something that is important to you. And this might be important in a theoretical sense or an applied sense or a product sense or whatever that might be, but you should always have a bigger vision, because when you're kind of stuck in the weeds and getting frustrated because you're doing something difficult, you need that thing to keep inspiring you. In your master's, you're not going to do that whole big inspirational project. You're going to do the first piece of it. But this is where you start building up some momentum, and this is where you build a direction and an identity in doing this. And I said the second part was with the coolest people that you can, because you don't work in isolation, right? Get inspiration from anyone you look up to. I've always found that if I was working on a problem and I'm really struggling with it, then my gut reaction is I'm an idiot. But if I'm working with someone I really respect as being really smart and they're also struggling with it, then instead I think, oh wait, maybe this is actually a difficult problem, and that tends to inspire you. So I think that's generally a useful principle. In terms of things to work on, I mean, it's not like the world is short of problems. But I think it's worth looking in a whole lot of different kind of angles. You go out in society and you see an opportunity, do something about that, right? We've got a room full of amazing problem solvers, people that can use the most advanced techniques ever envisioned on planet Earth so far, and we can do cool things. And maybe this means going and taking tools that exist now and piecing them together and solving a problem. Or maybe this means going and innovating on something core and fundamental, right? If you're working in, say, NLP for under-resourced languages, you don't need to just go and maybe sit there fiddling with hyperparameters. Maybe that's the wrong thing to do. Maybe that doesn't interest you. Maybe you should say, well, this is based on a transformer. Are there better architectures that we could build? And instead of waiting for someone else to do it, can we build it here? So I think it's really about asking questions, it's about being brave, and it's about challenging things.
Thanks, Benji.
Well, I can complete one thing and oppose a different view to Benjamin. Maybe if your colleague is stuck, it's just because he's an idiot too, right? It could be an option. Just saying. But that said, for the joke, I wanted to go back because there are a lot of things where I fully agree. The point of research, I think if you work on science, and we're really at an exciting time, and I'll go back to that, is that you work on something that you are really interested in. It comes from your guts, right? And it's also very important not to be choosing the topic only because it's trendy. I mean, I have so many people choosing topic, like I see students, they choose the topic just because this is super trendy, and this is not the right way of doing. And let's remember that research that was highlighted before the story about the button, research is about discovering something new. So it's exactly going where the people haven't been. So that's what you should be looking for. And I want to go a little bit on the technical part. We're in a super exciting time where we have all this foundational model that you can rely on and train very cheaply now. I mean, you can literally, we're going back to a time where you can train stuff that are state of the art, sometimes even on a CPU. I mean, you can do zero-shot classification, for example, both for language, for vision, by just training a couple of layers at the end of your network, and you're just relying on something huge that was, of course, developed by big tech, right? So this is really a time where there are a lot of things that can be done that are either applied if you're interested by applied research, or very fundamental. And there are ways to work on the fine-tuning of this model that can be pretty low cost also. I know that the computational aspect of the problem is something very important for the community in Africa, and I really want to insist on that part. You have resources on internet. I think it was mentioned at some point, the fact of having open source code. That's one of the motivation, not only for this continent, but all over in the world. I want to highlight that whenever you're publishing also your code, you're also making your findings accessible to other countries that are even less connected, and you have other part of the world that are really behind in that. And really, you have all these resources, and there are tons of stuff you can do on the multimodal aspect, on text, AI education, on fine-tuning big models that are really, really light. And this is no more an excuse that I cannot work, do good research because I'm on the continent. Not at that time. It has been true. Maybe you want to react.
I want to add something to that first point that you made about don't do a thing because everyone else is doing it. You're too late, right? You should be not kind of following the wave. You should be setting new things. And I often think about the way that, everything in AI these days comes from deep learning, basically. And this was, the stories were all about, back in the early 2000s, if you wrote a paper for NeurIPS and you had the words neural network in it, 100% guarantee it was going to get rejected. But there were a handful of people who said, no, this is wrong. This is the correct way to solve certain problems. People like Jeff Hinton, Jan LeCun, Joshua Bengio. And these people, everyone thought they were crazy, right? They managed to just keep working in that direction. They found their group of people that believed as they do, and they were right. And if they'd just given up and said, okay, we'll go work on things that everyone else is working on, we wouldn't be in the place that we are now. And so take inspiration from people like this, right? It's about saying, no, I don't think that's right. I've got a better idea. And maybe I'm wrong, but I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to find my people and figure this out. And do that. Science and research is about exploration. I love the idea of everyone wandering off in different directions, exploring different things, and then suddenly someone yells, hey, I found something over here, and a bunch of people rush over and they dig around and find some other cool things, and other people aren't interested, and they look over and they say, okay, I'm carrying on with my thing. Don't be scared to carry on with your thing, right? Just because other people think it's not the right way to do it doesn't mean it's the wrong way to do it.
Thanks, Benji.
100% agreed.
Ebele, Sibu, any point to add? I know we are running out of time, but if there is a quick.
So I'm not a researcher, so I wouldn't presume to give advice when it comes to research. I think I can give, and I also don't give advice ever. Well, that's not true. But I try not to give career advice because I think advice is often more about the person giving it than about the person receiving it. So I can only say for myself, one of the things that I have centered in my life is mission and purpose. So not necessarily doing things because everyone thought I should do it, but really thinking what is important to me. and then also centering joy. So for me, I can't do anything if it doesn't bring me joy. And then there's the piece that's sort of similar to what my colleagues have said, but I phrase it slightly differently. At least for me, growing into this sense that just because when you say a thing, people disagree with it, it doesn't mean that you're wrong. And that doesn't mean that you don't challenge your assumptions. It doesn't mean that you don't have curiosity, or I don't have curiosity. But sometimes people aren't ready for what you're saying. And just because people aren't ready, or because they push back, doesn't mean that it's not something worth hearing. And then the final thing I will say for my life has been around power. Because there's always this thing about, you don't have to be in the room, even if the room is constituted with different types of people, it's important for you to be in the room, important for you to be in the room. And I just saw this saying today that actually resonated with me, and I'll read it because it says, if you can make it in the room, but your morals and beliefs cannot, you have not gained power, power has gained you. And so for me, I have found it very compelling, because sometimes it's not enough to just be in the room if you can't take your morals and your what you think is right into the room with you.
Thanks, Ibele. That's a very strong point. Before I go to the next question, I know the attendees were very great so far. I will come back and give a chance to ask one or two questions, but since you were great, can you clap for yourself first? Come on. Thank you. Great. So think about a burning one or two questions you wanted to raise to one or all of the panelists, or something you wanted to be discussed as a part of this panel discussion. But before that, I want to get a bit personal. You already mentioned, Ibele, that people disagreeing means you are not wrong. Benji already mentioned the neural network story, and that, to keep grounded on what you believe. But I want people, of course, it's obvious, everyone's career has its own ups and downs. We have been rejected, sometimes we have been successful, and that's life. So if you will, I would love you to share what are those rejections, mistakes, stages in your career, if we learn one or two things from them, and if you are happy to share them, whether it's come from failure story, career success story, but I know we all go through some of them. Anyone?
Sure. I think we've all had a lot of failures in our careers, and I think it is good to talk about these things, because that tends to not be what you see. There's many that I can talk about. One was after I finished my undergrad studies, I really wanted to go abroad and study, and thought, okay, I've got to go to the US, and what are the top places there that I can do a PhD in, and I had no idea what I was doing. I applied to the 4 most famous places I could think of, and I got promptly rejected from all of them. I was like, cool, all right. And then, I was upset about this for a while, but then I thought, okay, let me figure out how to do this properly, and I started asking around, and kind of friends of friends eventually kind of told me how this whole process works, and you don't just cold apply and send an application and hope for the best. You have to put a lot of work in and research and cast the net wide, and I did that a few months later, and then I was looking at the UK for different reasons, and I got into all the places I applied for, because I didn't have, this time I was armed with information. I had people helping me and advising me, and I knew what the system was, right? Otherwise I was just, closing my eyes and hoping for the best, and that taught me a lot about being prepared for whatever I wanted to do next. And also that it really isn't the end of the world if something's rejected. I mean, every academic learns this, because all of our papers get rejected at least once. And you realize that this doesn't mean you're a terrible person. It doesn't mean your ideas are bad. It just means maybe I didn't approach it in the right way, or I didn't convey my message in the right way. And with the right help, you figure out how to do that.
Thanks, Beji. Sabrina?
Yeah, so a bit of a similar story, but I'll go a bit into details. So after I finished my master, I really wanted to do a PhD at CERN in particle physics. had nothing to do with physics, but I went to CERN, got accepted, did 4 years. That was started actually in 2016. So 4 years of doing machine learning into particle physics. At the end of it, I didn't want to stay in particle physics. I was like, I want to go to industry. But by then, everything was about LLMs and all these models, and I was doing particle physics. So I started applying and getting, I don't know, 30, 40 rejection a day, and I was like, wait, I did a PhD at CERN, that has to count for something, right? So day after day, I get rejected, and I'm like, that's not right. And it took me actually 2 or 3 months to learn that this is not the right mindset, right? So I needed to go back and learn the things that I did not learn during those PhD years because I didn't want to do that. And I started going back, what's the name of that website? Like HackerRank, and doing basic Python exercises, right? Like the problems I thought I'm never going to see when I started university. I started doing few of that a day, and okay, I'm going to do that. Learning from scratch all the models that came out, and then I started doing interviews and passing stages. I actually applied to Google, and they didn't reject me for 6 months, and that was like the biggest achievement of my life. I didn't want to work there because I really wanted to stay engineer, but okay, let's try it. And then I had a job opportunity with a startup, and I ended up really, really liking it. But I went through this whole process of, okay, like, what's happening? And when you get rejected, it really hurts. And when you get 30, 40 rejection a day, it really, really hurts. But then I also met other people that I thought they're really better than me, like really better, and they also got rejected. So you understand that and by the way, now I'm rejecting people, so I can tell you a bit about that. Yeah, exactly. So last year we opened a position, and like we're a startup in Geneva, right? We're 11 people, and we have this position for a data scientist, but it's remote, so everyone is welcome. And they got 1,000 CVs for that, and it was my first hiring ever. I was like, okay, how am I going to do that? So I literally spent 10 seconds per CV just looking for specific keywords, and we sent 999 rejection emails. Not because those CVs were not great, lots of them were like way better and smarter than me, but they weren't what we were looking for. So it's really, really important to know if you get rejected, it's not because you're not good enough, you're probably really awesome and better than what they're looking for, but it's not the right fit for that job at that time. And if you absolutely want that job, then you need to prepare for that job exactly. So that's kind of my failure learning.
Thanks, Sabrina, for sharing. Appreciate it. Sibu?
Maybe carrying on rejections, especially for jobs. So when I finished my honors, so obviously I didn't, although I liked being a researcher, I hadn't been exposed to anybody who was in a research career. This was back in the days. You don't have to guess my age. But so then the natural thing to do, as soon as towards the end of your undergrad, especially if you're coming from socioeconomic circumstances that, some of us come from, the next thing everybody asks you, when are you getting a job? So obviously then the next thing was to try and find a job. The consulting companies were recruiting, the banks were recruiting at university, and I got numerous rejections. And then it was one of I think the application to a research organization, I just, I put it in and didn't even think much about it, but I got called into an interview, and I was accepted for that role. So then started my career as a research scientist, and what was cool about it was that they specifically wanted someone who was going to commit to studying further, so doing their graduate degrees. It was challenging because you then have to do it whilst you're also working. But even in that there was a blessing because, whilst I was pursuing my studies, I also got to work on cool projects. So kind of having to juggle multiple things, I think comes handy now when I have the kind of role that I have now. But I guess, the same story that everybody says, sometimes the rejections are serendipitously, leading you to a path to something that you really enjoy. And I really enjoy a career as a research scientist. So there was a blessing in that, being rejected by the banks and the consultants.
And now you are rejecting people as senior manager of IB. Now you are rejecting people in return, which I think the common denominator is rejection will happen actually, eventually, for different reasons. And the key is like why they are happening and potentially try to come up with a strategy is I guess the common denominator here. Anyone to add on this point? Otherwise, I will go for the audience. Sekou? All right. Aisha, do we have mic? All right, I will share my mic. Anyone with a burning question, one or two for one or all of the panelists, Emilise.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the amazing panel discussion. It's been really wonderful. I have a question. My name's Emily, by the way. I have a question about responsible AI. We kind of touched on that a little bit, and there was also some points about AI and climate, and that those are like possibly very important questions for our time. And the question that I have is, who is accountable for the impact of research undertaken, but also research not undertaken? And yeah, thoughts on that?
Hello, my name is Mamoud Lamine Diallo, Senegal. What do you think in Africa? Digital sovereignty of AI, the digital technology of AI, the sovereignty of AI technology in Africa.
Okay, thank you for this panel discussion. I think I'm probably going to ask the most basic question ever asked in this kind of conference, but I think it's really important to, sit for a second and really consider defining what is AI and what actually is intelligence really mean, and in general, what is intelligence? Because when you read a book like Peter Norvig and Stuart Russell books about AI and modern approach, you notice how many definitions of intelligence are there out there. So even this mere fact of defining intelligence is creating debate. So I mean, it's really important to sit for a second and really consider this question. What is intelligence? What is it that we want to reproduce artificially? That's a question for everyone here. And so if you want to respond my question, to answer my question, you can just reach out at me anytime you see me and answer the question. Thank you.
All right, I can give a shot at the first question. Everybody is responsible. We are responsible in different ways. Possibly even individuals have different responsibilities over time. So for example, you might ask the question, what work is important? So this is something that has been mentioned on the panel. You should work on things that are passionate to you. But if you have realized that something is not being studied, it might be that that should be what you work on because it's important to you that that gets studied as well. And if not you, then whom? But it's an optimization problem because you have a certain amount of time in a day. You have a certain runway in terms of, okay, if you're in a master's program, if you're in a PhD program, what will get you to your goal because you have a path that you're following as well. But at the same point in time, there are questions like, should this research be done? if this research is done, if this model is created, we normally like to think in terms of models. If the model exists, what are the downstream, either unintended or intended consequences that we must think about, and who is accountable for when those things happen or do not happen? This is a big question. So the question needs to be answered from multiple angles. So whether it's the public policy people, happy we are in a room with people who care about policy. Is it education? Is it implementation? Is it theory? All of these individuals have a part to play in terms of answering this question that you asked, which is a hard question.
I want to maybe add one thing to that. I really love the framing of who's responsible for the things that aren't being researched, which I think is a way we don't usually think about things. And it strikes me as that that's a very hard problem, because it's like, who's responsible for not asking certain questions? Now, there might be questions that we all know should be asked that no one's asking. So if you've built a tool, particularly if it's out there in the world and affecting people, and you have no idea if it's got, the capacity for evil, or, to cause harm and suffering, and you haven't looked into these things, I think there's some responsibility if you're pushing a product that you can really stand behind that it's safe. On the other hand, there's always going to be the broader questions that, oh, none of us actually thought of that. That's crazy. And maybe we collectively as a society get held accountable for that, but that's an interesting philosophical one. I also want to talk briefly to the question of what is intelligence, and I think that's the right kind of question to ask. And I think that we're not necessarily the right kind of people to answer this. But this kind of thing tells me, and this is one of the things that's always been marveled on, is the debates and discussions on what actually is intelligence and what constitutes intelligent behavior and so on. And to me, the very obvious kind of glowing sign that this points to is that we shouldn't be working in isolation as computer scientists and engineers, right? There's kind of centuries of work where people have, or millennia of work where people have been wondering similar questions from very different angles, and that, to me, there's so much value in thinking about the work we do in the context of working with kind of natural scientists, with philosophers, with neuroscientists, with people that study the plant world and the animal world and humans, right? Because to me, these are just all angles on one overarching question around, what is it to be intelligent? What is it to be us? And what is it to replicate some of this functionality in our systems to help us solve hard problems? And so I think there's a lot of space in this community to be including other people that look at the natural world and take inspiration from the way that they do things. That was also a cop-out of an answer.
Yeah, one of the founder of the field, Alan Turing, was known to watch the flowers growing, spending days just at looking at flowers, how they grow.
Okay, thank you so much for your opinions. My question is about responsible AI and role. Sometimes I'm excited to use AI to solve problems, but sometimes I'm surrounded by people saying, no, don't do AI because it will replace humans, it will take the place of human, and maybe it will kill the humanity. So my question will be how to answer these kind of questions, how to tell them the importance of AI, how to convince them the utility of AI.
Hello, thank you so much for this opportunity. My question is related also about the last question. Today, everyone knows the importance of artificial intelligence, the benefit of artificial intelligence in our life. But I think there is a big gap between the young generation and some African governments. Until I can say even now, there is some African countries that AI didn't be accepted, something like this. So in this case, how we have to manage until we are trying to explain to our government to integrate AI in their process, in their research, they don't know. Like the previous question said, why you have to choose AI. So in this case, how to manage this kind of government, how to push them to adopt AI in our process, in the solution.
No. Okay. Yeah, so maybe just to talk to those, and particularly the first question, these are questions we've always been asked a lot, and particularly having part of my life working in robotics, it's even more obvious there to many people. I think I often talk about AI as saying, look, we clearly have a lot of big problems in the world that we've been struggling to solve for a long time. How do we solve problems? We throw more intelligence at them. So clearly we want the most intelligent tools that we can to help us solve problems that we have been unable to solve with the previous generation of tools so far. That seems a reasonable approach to take. In terms of all the dangers, I think if these technologies are being built, yes, as Sekou said earlier, certain things we should be asking questions about. Should we be building certain tools or doing certain kinds of research? But apart from that, if certain things are being done, surely we want to be a part of that conversation. We don't want to have, I don't want AI as developed somewhere else just landing on our shores and there's absolutely no one here who can do anything about it. We'd like to have a really strong, really vocal, really well-educated community that can make sure any tools coming in are used in the right way. We're building things as well that are relevant to our situation, and that we've got a form of ownership here. It strikes me sometimes, the thing when you read some article and or someone else reads the article and they go, wow, have you seen what they have built now? Like, we are the they. We're part of the they. This is our community as well. And so we've got a responsibility to make sure that what's getting built, what's getting deployed is done so in the best way possible. Because if not us, then who?
Thank you so much for your for the opportunity. And thank you so much for the insightful discussion. I'm Robert from Zimbabwe. So my question goes like this. It seems like in this hype of AI, everyone wants to, contribute something, but I think I've realized that some of the things that, some of the work that is being put in, it doesn't necessarily address the problems that we have at hand. I remember this other LinkedIn post that was saying, I do not want AI to maybe do my art for me, while I focus on doing my laundry. I want AI to do my laundry so that I can focus on doing my art, which is something that I really love doing. So now my question is, now we were here, I like the fact that the panelists mentioned about it, like looking around problems that are within our communities that needs to be addressed first before maybe some other things can be addressed. For people that are here, or what is the call to action that they can do as they go back to their communities? What are they supposed to do in ensuring that there is knowledge transfer as to what they learned here into their communities? Thank you.
Yeah, I want to actually go back to the question about the policy and government inclusion. I think that's a super crucial point in Africa, especially with the government. The model I've seen working is, for example, inviting government, policymakers to your event. And then if the question is, but they don't care, maybe because their voters don't know about AI and don't care either. So I don't think there is anything preventing us per se on spreading the word and talking to people. There's a lot of outreach we're doing. I think each one of us, when they go back home, we have friends who have no relationship to AI or computer science. I don't think we're talking to them about AI, right? And that's maybe the first step. We need to start talking about AI, maybe teaching Python and other things at primary school, just like it was started elsewhere. And then maybe there will be a shift, because if a larger number of people is aware, government will care and policymaker will be present and will support, because that's the general concern. But if everyone else is just talking about other issues, like football, of course AI is not a priority anymore. So maybe just starting by inviting and showing how cool your idea is, your project is could be a good step towards that.
I know we're short on time, but I think the simplest answer that I should give in this room is find your Indaba X community and present what you learned. Take all of the people that came from Zim with you and pull those from all of Southern Africa. Say, hey, it's not that long of a bus ride. Come share what you learned here.
I think another probably useful thing is learning to communicate what you're doing and communicating it in a simple way. So can you tell your grandmother what you're doing about your project? So that's the one thing. The second thing I was thinking about in terms of, how do we spread the word in terms of our communities? It's easy to develop AI systems for the community and not with the communities. So that's another thing that we need to look at in the design life cycle of our AI systems, are the opportunities to involve, whether it's communities or whether it's, certain department representative. For example, if your system is applicable in a specific department like health, for example. So have those stakeholders in the room, because one, that challenges you to communicate about your project in a way different than you would communicate in this room. And that would help in terms of really getting to the core of the problem around AI literacy in our communities. The other thought that I had around that, especially for those projects that are in the application domain, if we're working in climate, how many of us actually attend a climate conference and try to present our work there? So it's also a challenge to also reach out to other communities. One, you get challenged to communicate about your work, but the other thing is you actually discover whether it's challenges or new things that you wouldn't have ordinarily thought about if you just kept, communicating or sharing knowledge about your projects within your own community, like Indaba here.
Thanks, Sibu. Let's just take the last one. That's the last, and then I will go for closing remarks.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I would like to thank the panelists for the wonderful discussion that you've given unto us. Mine is just about whatever work we do in the continent, how are we disseminating the information? Apparently, we have been doing a lot of science communication in English or in French. And today in the morning, I had a chance to take a look at a book by the famous Professor Yuval Harari. And his new book, The Nexus, he talks about AI as a threat to the human race, the extinction of the human race. How is this going to affect the continent, which somehow is always a bit laid back in some emerging technologies? And with that, how then do we improve on science communication in the local languages so that this information of whatever we do with AI, all the solutions are easily communicated to each and every village on the continent. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a great question. Anyone happy to take the greater risk of AI as suggested by the professor and how will be affecting the community of Africa and continent in general? Anyone?
So before I do that, I actually think that it's linked to the answer to the first question. And so, because whether we like it or not, the representatives of people are government. So even in places where it's not as democratically elected, those are the representatives. And so I think the question around how you engage government is an important one. And so one that I found extremely important is one, to have a sense of humility. And by humility, I mean humility about the impact, humility about what one knows. The other thing is to be talking about a problem that government is actually interested in solving. I think it can feel quite satisfying to go and say, hey, I'm doing this cool thing. But if that cool thing is not connected to something that citizens need, that cool thing is not connected to a problem that the government is already trying to solve, then what you're saying is not useful. And so I think this is where it's very important also for researchers to speak with researchers, companies, whichever, speak with civil society, speak with people who have taken as their mission to look at issues of humanity, who have taken as their mission to look at social justice issues. So connect with them so that there's a joint and collective conversation that's not just about technology, but is actually about people and how people are affected by that technology. And to the question about what the impact is on Africa, I think there's to your point, I mean, and all of these impacts, if you look at climate, if you look at a massive widening of a digital divide, the impact of that, all of those are crucial and critical questions that this is where and why governments actually need to be engaged in these problems, because it's not something that can be addressed in isolation. So it's a big question, and there isn't one solution to it, but the road to the solution requires collaboration across multiple disciplines, in particular civil society, and there is a responsibility for those of us who are in this space to make community with others outside.
We also have a superpower, which is this community, and how connected everyone is. From all different parts of the continent. Now, we can grow tenfold and increase so many more people, and there's questions around how to do that using the Indaba X, using other mechanisms. But, if someone has some message that needs to be propagated to the community across Africa, we can now do this, which we couldn't do even a couple years ago. And I think kind of bringing all our minds together and having such a rich network that we keep growing and we keep kind of fostering and looking after, I think that's really a thing that we need to utilize in different ways to make sure that we've got we're not leaving anyone behind, that we're thinking about all the important questions and being as inclusive as possible.
Thanks, Benji. I know this is a great conversation. I learned a lot has been discussed. But I know time is running up, so I will just give a chance for a quick closing remark, maybe 1 minute by each panelist.
Okay. She said she doesn't want to start. So, I don't know. Thank you for continuing to work, continuing to explore. I mean, continued going in the direction of the topic that were not explored yet. I often, when I'm with my student, I often have to convince them to work on topics that are not explored. And sometimes we start working on something, and then 6 months after, they're like, "Oh, cool! It's interesting because I've seen a paper on it." I'm like, "No, it was interesting before the paper appeared. This was new. Now it's one more." So yes, continue exploring the field, and thank you for being there and making this community so lively and human.
Thanks, Raul.
I hope that people stay curious, and I hope that people stay asking really difficult questions, And I hope that the work that you do has something to do with making the world a much more just and equitable world. And I hope that there's a recognition that no matter what you're doing, your work can contribute toward that, can either contribute or reinforce systems as they exist. And so I hope that you keep, asking hard questions.
There's all the things to agree with there. But again, keep, it's exciting to be in a community where people are so brave. People keep kind of challenging everything, but also keep challenging yourself. Don't find yourself just in a place of comfort, although that's useful sometimes to rest. But everything that we've got here, everything we've been discussing over the last few days, all the different kinds of events, just happened because someone thought we should do this. And we've got the kind of community where anyone can do anything, right? If you have some wacky idea, it can be in the next Indaba, it can be in communities across the continent within some short amount of time. And it's that kind of passion, it's that hunger, that innovation, that creativity that kind of keeps us all going, that keeps us inspired, that keeps changing the way we do things and not settling for accepting the world as it is, but striving to make it what it should be. So thank you.
Lots of pressure with all the clapping, so we have to say something really inspirational. So I really like the word humble she used earlier. I think we need to remember that as well. AI is a tool and it's important to use it to solve the problems that we see on a daily basis, to put it in the hands of people and to include everyone, so to be really, really inclusive of the end user who has no clue about what AI is. So we need to bridge that gap as well. And I think not a single person is going to solve Africa's problem. It really takes everyone. And if each of us takes one step and we all do it in the next couple of years, because I think we already started, we're going to see something positive. But it really takes every one of us. So let's share with each other. Let's do things together. I'm pretty sure every one of you is going with the idea to collaborate with someone you met at the Indaba. So let's multiply that and grow from it.
All right, so I've had many conversations. That's part of the reason why my voice is hoarse now. And one of the things that kept coming up is people asking, what is it that you actually do again? Some of you have found me in the robotics workshop. Some of you have found me in health. Some found me in GeoAI. At the core, I'm a problem solver. And I'm going to challenge you to think about it in that way. What skills are you going to take from your discipline, wherever that is? What things are you going to pull from your experience, because it is uniquely you? Even if you had a twin, they have not seen the world from the exact same vantage point that you have. They have not walked in the exact same places and experienced things in the exact same sequence as you. Leverage that. Leverage that. We talked about rejection a little bit. Leverage even the rejections. Those will fuel you to do things that you would never have thought were possible. In the mentorship session, one of them, we talked about the fact that don't assume that when you optimize that you have gotten a global solution. Know that it is a local solution, but act accordingly. All right?
Yeah, awesome. Thank you for this opportunity. So the one thought that I had, one of the things that our research director said in the Think Summit was the future of AI is open. There's a lot out there in terms of models being open, and one of the points that I took in the GeoAI workshop is really let's look at how do we optimize on what is out there that is available, but also leverage our strong vantage point in that we have the linguistic and the cultural diversity to be able to inject that into the global developments around AI. So, and then the other challenge, back home, we always have Abu Mam Kopos, he's like, Emgano zangitshela indaba. So you guys have been here at Indaba. So try and challenge yourself and see if you can tell a friend. Give them a summary of what went on here, to a point where they clearly understand that. So take the stories of Indaba back into the community, and let's start to also involve those around us, and making sure that they are part of the conversation around AI and it doesn't become something that is aloof to them. I think that's my closing shot.
All right, thanks panelists. So challenging yourself, stay humble, be curious, and the common denominator, we are us in a way. We have the community, we have IndabaX, this is our identity, and if we use this approach, definitely there is a lot to do more, but importantly, rejection is also okay, and as long as we learn something from it, probably more or less that are a few words I picked from the conversation. And again, it has been a pleasure moderating this discussion, and thank you for taking the time and share your insights. Quite importantly, I want to thank Aisha, who make this panel discussion happen because of her communication, and make up another round of applause for Aisha, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Girma. Thank you, our panelists. Thank you, everyone. So I think we are going for coffee break. So we have extra pens and books. If you would like to get some, please pass by the registration desk. And see you at 4:30 for the closing remark.
Let's take a picture.
Oh, okay. We won't take picture? Okay, let's go.
Every day, thousands of vehicles navigate our roads, each contributing to the air that we breathe. But how much do we truly know about the impact and quantity of these emissions? Driven by a passion for technology and environmental stewardship, our team embarked on a mission to understand, quantify, and reduce the carbon footprints of vehicles on our roads. This has always been the chant by governments and environmentalists. Introducing Emission Pulse, an emission measurement system designed to be effortlessly installed in any car, be it hybrid or manual. This is technology with a purpose. With Emission Pulse, real-time emission data is at your fingertips, accessible anywhere and anytime. Track your vehicle's emissions and stay informed about your environmental impact. But we do not just stop at data. Emission Pulse offers precise analysis and predictions, empowering policymakers, manufacturers, and consumers to make informed decisions for a cleaner future. From shaping environmental policies to guiding the next generation of eco-friendly vehicles, the insights provided by Emission Pulse are invaluable. Emission Pulse bridges the gap between knowledge and action, helping us all to choose a better and greener transportation option. Our goal is simple: to make a sustainable future where every drive counts towards a greener planet. Join us on this journey and count every emission. Together, we can drive change and make a greener planet. Thank you.
Awesome. Should we get seated so we can close up? If we have them, and then you can keep your laptop maybe next to mine. What do you think? And then, because I think some of the stuff, like the thing about Go My Code, has some text underneath, right? Okay. I hope we have everyone here and we're ready to get going, because the only thing that stands between now and the end of this and the party is this final closing remarks. Super. All right. Yeah. We'll just make people like get in. There it is. Wait, just 5 minutes for what, sorry? Yeah, just waiting or just doing something? No, wait 5 minutes before starting. Okay, I see. I was asking if you also needed something. No. Come on in. Let's get seated for the final session of the week. It's been a long week. Oh wow, nice. Super. Yeah. Okay. So, Elizabeth, this is actually the closing. Thank you. And then there it is. Look. get going? Super. Okay, let's get going. So, it's the end of a long week. Can we get everyone sat down? That'd be amazing. Anyone outside, come inside. This is my favorite part of the week because we get to reflect on the journey that we've all been having. Everybody's had a different Indaba path, and we get to celebrate each version. So that's a wrap. We made it. 2024 Deep Learning Indaba. Thank you all so much for being here, for participating so actively in our program and with the participants, and we hope that you've gotten so much out of this, so many new connections, people that you've been able to learn from, create collaborations with. First things first, the evening will commence with a closing party, and the party starts at around 7. It's very close to here, so we don't have to worry about getting stuck anywhere, hopefully, fingers crossed. Buses will depart from the usual place in front of the auditorium from 6:30, and I recommend getting there early because we'll be finishing early, so let's not try and get there too late. Buses will we don't have to wait for all the buses, they'll go one by one. We would love to hear how the Indaba has been for each of you, so please, please, please leave us some feedback. We love hearing how much of an amazing time you had, but also things that can be improved. What did you want to see that you maybe didn't get the opportunity to see? So there's a QR code now on the left of the screen, which you can do that with. We will also be sending more information afterwards where you can actually take a bit more time, reflect on your flight, and leave us some feedback. And in addition to that, I've noticed that a lot of people are very interested in how they can contribute. So please also sign up to join as an organizer of the Deep Learning Indaba. We're very, very open to having new ideas and fresh perspectives on board. So there's another QR code there. Feel free to sign up now, or we can send it out again in the newsletter. So I'll hand over to Dauda so we can take stock of our week here in Senegal.
Thank you, Emily. Yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks everyone for being here for this DLI edition 2024 in Senegal. You see that DLI has a bunch of power together, all people from different countries in Africa and also different continents, yeah, for 1 week to explore the cutting-edge AI solutions. And DLI has confirmed one more time to be the most inclusive AI catering in the world. Africa shouldn't stay far behind this new era of technology. And also, we will have to play an essential role by shaping our lives and the way we interact with the environment. So we are really proud to host this DLI event. And when we're looking back to the week, so starting the event, so in Senegal, we have a bunch of keynotes and tutorials that were running throughout the week. So we have Ideathons, we also have the workshops, the poster presentation, and also we have a lot of guests coming from all over the world, and also some special guests as the Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation in Senegal. So this is the second video. So it's just the summary of what happened during the week. Okay. So where AI is happening, we have some numbers here so that we can highlight. Like we have 62 papers submitted, 55 accepted paper, and 30 will go to the archive journal, Ishkai, and so on. We have 150 posters also during the week, 19 startups and 15 startup pitches, 9 workshops. We had also 7 social and networking sessions, 40 volunteers, 15 chairs, and the amazing organizers are 80. We can just make noise for them. And also we have a lot of participants this year, 100 and plus participants, 50% of women, and 200 travel grants. Yeah, as we know, the theme of the year is Hamhamle, which I think everybody in this room now know what is the meaning of Hamhamle. And yeah, this is the amazing gathering of this year event with this full picture of the attendees. Perfect. So we will head up to the Ideathon recap. So I will call Amal to join us on the stage. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, Dauda, Emily, and Elizabeth. Well, it's so emotional always to be here. I hope that everyone had an amazing week of Hamhamle. So I wanted to actually give a little bit of recap on the Ideathon, also remind you of what's coming next. I won't take a lot of time. So we had a lot of activities this year, a lot of engagement. Thank you for everyone who engaged with that. The photo you saw were from the mentorship session. We had 17 teams that signed up for this activity. I hope you all got some interesting ideas and feedback from the interaction with the mentors. Thanks again for the mentors who are really amazingly available and gave for their time and energy to support the teams. So yeah, now the competition is officially open. We will keep the proposal or the call for proposal open for another week, so you still have time to find teams, to refine your idea a little bit before submitting. We will keep the Slack open. The Slack channel will stay open for another month, so please use it to communicate about your idea and connect with people who have similar interests. We want to remind you that both application and research are welcome. I want to call especially the authors of the 62 papers that we received in submission. If you have ideas to build on that paper, to develop it further, to make it for a journal or a conference paper later, the Ideathon is an amazing platform for that. Please submit. We have really wonderful support from the sponsors this year. Some of them is really tailored for research, so please submit your ideas to make good use of this amazing support. So yeah, we will, if you can go back just one slide, sorry. The activities will be over the 8 weeks, so stay tuned. We'll announce on our platforms. It will end after 8 weeks with the announcement of the winners. So yeah, if you want to get involved to help us, we're still looking for reviewers, mentors, judges. Please sign up with this form. And if you have an idea you want to submit, the QR code that is going to show next leads you to the application form. We're waiting for your amazing ideas, and good luck to everyone. Have fun and see you soon.
Thank you so much, Amal.
Thank you.
Awesome. So we will now invite onto the floor Professor Wangari Maathai, who we've all had the luxury of hearing from the whole week, who will now represent the DLI board for us.
Okay. Thanks, Emily. And okay. Very slippery.
Thanks, Emily. Thanks for all the organizers, all the volunteers. I think, it's amazing coming in and seeing the Indaba one grow from year to year in its strength. And, it's more than the numbers. I think the feeling that people have when they're here, the growth that you see in the community, and also, the intangibles, the things that you can't really touch, that you feel. For us now is we are done in the establishment phase of the Indaba, right? That was a journey that we started in 2016, 2017 being the first meeting. We're established now. The Indaba is a place that is now demanded, so it has to happen, and we need to kind of continue getting it going. And now it's really, we are in the growth phase. Right, the growth phase on one side is characterized that there were 47 Indaba X's, or there'll be 47 Indaba X's this year. That is amazing, and it's like really very thankful. You can clap. Right, that is something that I don't think in even our wildest dreams, where we established the Indaba X's in some ways as an idea that happened just after the main Indaba in 2017, where we were like, oh, we could only have 330 people. But what if we put away some money and gave, small grants for people to have workshops at their universities? And that's how Indaba X came in. And with that now, it means that there's an Indaba X somewhere on the continent every week. And it's really something that we should recognize all of the organizers of those Indaba X's, the volunteers, everybody who's actually gone and actually attended one. So thank you for your service. It is not something that we can actually give back on. Now, for us as a community, the Indaba is a big tent. It is not the conference, it's a gathering that people come to share. You've seen that through the booths inside the, near the coffee area, where you saw lots of communities across the continent being represented, because this is the place you come to come meet, to come discuss, to share your experiences and work towards that common goal of strengthening African machine learning. Now, for us as a whole community, it's time for us to increase our intensity in our work. What does that mean as we're doing that? You need to be impactful. You need to strive for excellence in all the things that you're doing within AI. You need to increase our professionalism, being our ethical, outlook in the way that we do things. And ultimately, also, we must always stay generous with others in the way that we share, and then we build things together. For the next 3 years of the Indaba, as more the trustees on the board, we know kind of where we're going in terms of the countries. But after 2027, so from 2028, we now will start opening bids for hosting. So next year will be the first year that bidding opens, so you will be bidding for 2028. So for the communities and the countries that would like to bid, that information will be provided next year, and then you would then bid for 2028. Right, so that's a big change, and again, as we said, we've established, now we're changing into this growth phase of growing the Indaba in different spaces. So we're really, really happy about that. For me, as a reflection, I've been asked to sit and reflect about the last year and the Indaba and all the amazing workshops and the work that's being done across the community. And I wanted to say this. So this is a Xitsonga proverb, and it says, "Kuhlula shirami iku kufumetana." What that means is the way to overcome cold is to warm each other. I would like all of us to reflect that we are at a very much an inflection point for our community, and it is going to be, for the next few years, that unity is going to be our biggest strength. There's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done. How we help each other, how do we work as a unit is going to be the thing that brings us the strength to grow beyond anything that we can think of right now. To go from maybe 12, 13 Indaba X's to 47 is no mean feat, but we did it. Right? And then now to go from an Indaba that had 660 applications, how many applications was that this year? Okay, 2,600 this year, 3,000 last year, not easy. Right? But the reason that has been possible is people come together, they work as a unit, and then build on all of their strengths and their imperfections to get to what we have today. It's not going to be easy for the next few years. As we grow, we will make mistakes. The community will make mistakes, but then always knowing that you can depend on other people and asking is going to be the thing that really makes things very different, right? It's not that we're driven just because there's only one way to do things, but then ultimately, we have a world that is changing geopolitically, and AI is one of the major things that is really driving this. And our view should be, how do we make sure that Africa has agency, right, has the capacity and has the capability to choose the directions that it wants to go when it comes to AI. It should never happen to us. We should be there all the time, being part of the decision-making that is going forward. So with that, thank you again. Round of applause for everybody in the room and for everything that you've been able to do. And with that, as I said, given this is, as we work together, we wanted to also recognize people who've been working over the last year with the Indaba, with the Muntu Prize. Ooh, an update. With the Muntu Prize, and this year, okay, really bad. Okay, I will get it right. We would like to recognize Yassine Yacobi. For his services to the African AI community. Yassine. Yassine reminds us that Ubuntu and love are the real principles that lead to a transformative change. So thank you, Yassine, for all the work, and you've seen him all over the Indaba this week. Okay, and really thank you for all of your service. That's fine. You can just stand there. Just stand there. And it's very hard, obviously, to choose one person for this because people really put the blood, sweat, and tears into this. For this year, honorable mentions, we want to recognize Amal, Damochi, Andrew Jennings, and Bruno Sisiko. Come over. Is Andrew here? Or is Connor? No. No, just go. Okay, thank you, Andrew. Okay. All right. Okay, thank you. And there's a bit of a small token of our appreciation that Emily will give you. And with that, I think I hand it back.
Super. Thank you so much, Fokosi. And thank you so much to our dedicated volunteers. So, it's the best time of the week. It's prize time. So to begin with, we've got OpenAI have generously decided to support us with GPT Plus access for 12 months. As quick as you can when the QR codes, you can get that, but we will follow up with an email. So can I just get the OpenAI team to stand up? I think we've met them, but can we just give them a massive round of applause? And on top of that, OpenAI are actually working with Indaba X local chapters to offer API credits to continue pushing innovation across the whole continent. So thank you so much. Massive round of applause, please. Thank you. Okay, and now it's time for individual prizes. I'm going to hand over to Elizabeth.
So, 79 individual prizes recognizing Africa AI research activities. So we begin with poster prize, Women in Machine Learning, 1-year mentorship, which is sponsored by CISPA. So, and this goes to Brenda. So when you hear your name, I know the names are on the screen, so you just wake up, you come on stage, and then we have, great. Thank you, thank you. So I would like us to have the team from CISPA to come and present this prize. Okay, so yeah. So you can take photos. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you. So we move to the next category, poster prizes. So this is instructor-led courses valued at 500 USD each, sponsored by NVIDIA. So yeah, you can give a clap. So I know your names on the screen, so I'll just call each one of you. So when you hear your name, you come on stage quickly. So we have Proscovia, so you just hear your name and then you come. And then we have Brahimi, Nakubuka, Regina Desile, Tajmed, Teju, I know I can see you. So all of you run to the stage. The 4 of you, please run to the stage if you're in this hall. Then we can have the team representative from NVIDIA coming on stage also to award this prize. Nice. Great, get a photo. Do we have any of the 3 available on the hall? Okay. NVIDIA team? Okay, they're not around. So a photo. Congratulations, Teju. Thank you, thank you. The next, we have poster prize again, travel and accommodation for conference, Idaba X or otherwise. So this goes to Jonathan and Gideon George. So you can run on the stage. Okay. So Jonathan and Gideon, I don't see anyone walking to the stage, so. Okay, so we can move to the next, but we can continue clapping, I believe so, no? Okay, so we go next. The next one is still on poster prizes. Scholarships for data science bootcamp valued 800 USD each, sponsored by Go My Code. So I'll just read your names, and when you hear your name, you run to the stage. Stanislas Mongela, I know Stanislas was around. Catherine, Nana, Anine, Imane, Charles, Dimet, Comfort, Cynthia, Sikuru, and Papa. You can run to the front if you are among the people I have read their names. Are you sure I don't have one person? Let's keep clapping. So the names are on the screen. I repeat again, Stanislas, Catherine, Anin, Imane, Charles, Dimet, Comfort, Cynthia, Sikuru, and Papa Diallo. Okay, so let's keep clapping. Great. Yeah, so if we have representative from Go My Code, you can join us on stage as we present this prize. So I would like to present, I'm reading this note on behalf of Go My Code team. So we are honored to offer 20 scholarships for data science boot camps, valued 800 USD each for a total value of 16,000 USD. These scholarships can be used
in all 7 countries of our Go My Code network, which is Tunisia, Morocco, Algeria, Kenya, Nigeria, Ivory Coast, and Senegal. Yeah, so we can give a clap. Thank you. So still on poster prizes, value 250 USD cash prize. The names are on the screen, but I'll still call them out. So we have Jay Patel. I saw Jay around. So we have, I just call one name. We have Abdul Hamid, Busayo, Tovonon, Kon, Christina, Roslyn, and Diane. Let's keep on clapping to them as they come on stage. Okay, so run quickly, run quickly. We have many prizes, so, okay. So keep on coming and running quickly to the stage. Great. Okay. Great. Thank you. So we move to poster prizes valued 150 USD cash prize. We have Afab, Raiden, Ibrahim, Fiso, Fahad, Morolog, and Hawa. So your names are on the screen. Please come on stage. Kindly run to the stage. Okay, so keep clapping as they come on stage. Great. This one. Great. Thank you. Poster prize valued 50 USD cash prize. Nicholas, Loyani, Dennis, Zodiac, Amina, Naira, Kosi, Muhaguzi, Velon, and Isov. So an NMS work has gone into place, not just in flying to Senegal, but the entire AI landscape. So you can keep on clapping for them as they come on stage. We have 47 countries represented in this year. Thank you. So we have 47 countries represented in this year Deep Learning Idaba, constantly reaching for greater inclusivity and representation, including researchers and startups. So, yeah, so you can do a photo. Thank you. Thank you. So poster prize, book prize, Introduction to Reinforcement Learning by Richard Sutton goes to Chelsea, John, and Elizabeth Odula. Your names are on the screen, so please run to the stage to receive this prize. Okay, so I don't see anyone coming to the stage. I can see one. Do we clap? Do it. So we have Chelsea, John, Odula, Elizabeth. All right, so we move to poster prize, book prize, Probabilistic Machine Learning Intro by Kevin. So we have Yusra, David, Erika. The three of you run to the stage and receive your prizes. Oh yeah, David Maina, great. Now I see you. Congratulations, David. So your names are on the screen. Please run to the stage and receive your awards. Prizes, yeah. Thank you. All right. So we move to the next poster prize, book prize, Understanding Deep Learning by Simon J.D. Prince. Goes to Dorothy, Kevin, Anthony, Manuel, and Dada. Your names on the screen. Kindly come on stage. Okay, so let's clap for the team. Just come on stage. Nice. Thank you. So the next poster prize, book prize, Graph Representation Learning by William Hamilton goes to Dolane Justin Oyoride. Your names are on the screen. Kindly run to the stage and receive this our prize. Nice. Congratulations. Okay, so you can clap for him as he comes on stage to receive his prize. All right. So next we go to poster prizes, self-paced courses valued at 30 to 90 USD, sponsored by NVIDIA. So I'll read all your names. There are many actually, so you'll just come on stage, and if we have a representative from NVIDIA, you can come on stage. So we have Billy Peter, Vincent, Msibi, Toja, Habibi, we have Kayoham, Manala, Matiba, Joseph, Sobian Hall, and then we have Arane. The list is long, so this is page 1. Look at your names. Can you run on stage? Great. So I go to page 2. We have Kessel, Adiza, Zainab, Jovita, Kok, Fatima, Julius, Daniel, Bahogo, Lawrence, Natalie. Page 2, if your name is on the screen, please run on stage. Be quick. I'm proceeding to page 3. All right, so the people in page 2, let's line up. So if we, just walk in. So if we have a representative from NVIDIA, please, you can walk on stage as we hand over these prizes. Okay. Take a good photo, then we move on to page 3. Nice. Congratulations. Great, great. All right, so page 3 goes to Teju. Today was your day, Teju. I can see the awards and prizes, I tell you. So we have Hove, Holubega, Walid, Ariane, Linton, Bakawi, Emily Rose, Kova, Samiratu, Justin. So if your name is on the screen, please come in front and receive the prize. Congratulations. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so we continue on the next page of the same prize. If your name appears on the screen, come in front. We have Matthews, Phyllis, Jean, Vincent, Iremide, Atem, Blessing, Luba, Flora. So check your names on the screen. Please come in front. Clap for them as they come. All right. Okay, so you can walk in front. Yeah, be quick. I can see you. Be quick. Nice. Congratulations. So let's do a photo. Thank you. So the last category of poster prizes is local Senegalese crafts. This goes to Stephen. We have Negatu, Linda, Ajayi, Asim, Haklipole, Jovita, Himam, Jere, Yosef, Naomi, Hali, Robert, Imam, and we have Mohammed. So can we come in front if your name appears on the screen? Great. So I would like now to invite Emily to present the workshop prizes. Thank you.
Super, thank you so much. Just before we do that, we had a couple of people that were going to the toilet, I suppose, who missed their prizes. So I'm just going to scroll back because I want to recognize one of our travel conference awardees, Gideon George, please. Thank you. Super, super. And one of our cash prize winners who also was in the toilet, Nicholas. Nicholas? Huh? What was your name?
Nicholas Guerin.
There it is, you're at the top.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, there he is at the top of the list. Oh, which one? Okay, super. And thank you so much. And one more lady who was also on the toilet who got the $250 cash prize. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Super. So congratulations to all of the poster prizes. It's such an amazing job, and congratulations to everybody that presented. It can be very nerve-wracking having to present your work, let alone in the sweltering heat. So honestly, everyone did an incredible job. And we'd like to continue in the theme of awarding and recognizing research excellence. So I'm going to invite Raul onto the floor to present the prizes from the weekly supervised computer vision workshop.
All right. Thank you. So going quick, a lot of really great work. We rewarded 4 works, but let me say from the Honorable Mention Award, there was the work of Matthew Janikel Jere. Please come on stage quickly. There was also the work of Yusuf Olani. I know it's 2 persons representing that work. Please come on stage. And the Best Poster Award, which was, the prize was given by GoPro, our partner GoPro, provided a Hero 13 of a value of $500, and it goes to Isen Brahimi, that I think is not there in the room, but please clap for her. And the Best Paper Award of the workshop is a cash prize of $500 from Snapchat, offering to Iman Hamzawi. Iman, if you're around, please come. They're not around.
Congratulations. Congratulations to the computer vision researchers. Amazing work. Okay, we have another workshop from Ichkai, so I'm going to invite Avishka onto the floor to speak on behalf of the AI for Good workshop.
Thank you, Emily. So
in this week's IJCAI symposium on AI for social good, which happened yesterday, a number of people were given the opportunity to present their work at the workshop, and thank you to everyone who participated, making it a very interesting and engaging session. And thanks to the support of IJCAI, we are able to publish selected works that were presented at the workshop in a special proceedings of an IJCAI journal. So congratulations to everyone who participated, and we'll be in touch afterwards. We're also very proud to be able to award 2 fellowships. Unfortunately, we don't have the names of the winners yet, but they're still being selected and they will be notified. But thank you to the support of IJCAI, Umea University, and the United Nations University. 1 fellowship will be awarded for 1 month at the United Nations University in Macau, with travel, accommodation, and stipend fully paid, and another will be awarded at Umea University in Sweden, again with travel, accommodation, and stipend, and they will be notified very soon.
Okay, continuing with the workshops, we will have Ibrahim to announce the winners from the Afric Climate workshop.
Okay, thank you everyone. We had our first inaugural Afric Climate AI workshop, and for your information, Afric Climate AI is a community where we have people from all different aspects trying to solve climate challenges that we have in Africa, trying to come together and make sure that we build a very climate resilient Africa. So we had our inaugural workshop, and during that workshop, we had some lightning talks, and we selected the 3 best lightning talks, and we are going to be giving them prizes today. The first prize goes to Bibian Daniel on the work investigating and building a hybrid model for predicting and forecasting floods. And she's going to be getting an iPad 9th generation. And the second prize goes to Erica for her work on time series machine learning model for monitoring and forecasting greenhouse gas emissions from ruminant livestock. And the third place goes to Andrews for the work on combating climate change due to galamsey. So we're really thankful to our sponsor for the workshop, who have provided us sponsorship to be able to award these prizes in the name of InstaDeep. So really thankful for that. So if the individuals can come on stage to receive their prizes. So Bibian, Erica, and Andrew. Thank you very much, everyone. Okay.
Thank you so much for those incredible prizes. Thank you, Afric Climate Workshop. Okay, moving on to the next set of prize announcement, and I know this is one you guys have been really looking forward to. Everybody that's been hard at work into the night coding and trying to get these hackathons done. So please, I'm going to hand over to Rose, who is Zindi Community Manager, and the hackathons are in partnership with Zindi, as well as our Community Chair.
Hi everyone. Once again, my name is Rose Delilah Gesicho. I'm a community chair at Zindi and also the DLI community chair. So I'm really excited to be standing in front of you guys, and for everyone who participated in the hackathon, we really appreciate you, and round of applause to those people who took part. Yeah. Yeah, it was sleepless nights. I had a lot of complaints, but yeah, the time is here, and I would love to, yes, okay, come. Amen. Yes, I would love to have Lola from the Meta team to introduce the winners for the LLM fine-tuning of African language competition. So welcome, Lola.
Thank you very much, Rose, and for all your help, Zinzi, for helping to coordinate. For your excellent submissions. So the challenge ran for 73 hours. We had almost 400 applications, 387, and we had 119 applicants. 35% only, I say only, of which were women. I think we want to see more in future. So to run through the winners, we have the first prize, the third prize goes to Team Ogia, which comprises Daniel Kandi from Kenya, Helena Hailu Nigatu from Ethiopia, and Jess Rees from South Africa. And it's a cash prize of $1,000. Next, second, is Stanislaus Mongela from Kenya. And it's a cash prize of $1,500. And first is Charles Yusuf from Rwanda. And it's a cash prize of $2,500. Congratulations to our winners.
Amazing. So we'll just get some more photos of the prize award winners. So we've got the third place team. Amazing. And we have Stanislaus. Charles. Amazing. Congratulations, Charles.
Awesome. So as we finalize on the Meta Awards, I think we will jump into the InstaDeep hackathon that we did. So I would love to welcome our InstaDeep representative.
Thank you. Now, the snake venom hackathon. It seems it was like a very hard nut to crack. When I talked to the participants, they told me it's a very hard hackathon, but very, very challenging. And I think that was exactly the aim we set out to achieve. This is not a hackathon like on some toy problem. This is the work we have people working on full time. Here we applied it to snake venom, but at InstaDeep we're applying this to create vaccines, and we apply it in drug development. We have people with advanced degrees working on this, and participants were able to do amazing work in 2 days. So a big round of applause for everybody who participated. Please welcome onto the stage Brenda Anaga for the third place prize. What the jury liked. Second prize is for Nyam Njam and Andre Kevin from Cameroon. Well done. Thank you so much. Now for the first prize winners, I have to say the jury was very impressed with the notebook they delivered. It was very well written, well documented. They even put a flow diagram of all the steps they took. I would certainly encourage the team that won first prize to upload their notebook on Cindy as like an example of how you should do these kinds of hackathon. A big round of applause for first place winners, Team Kasaf from Nigeria.
Amazing. Thank you so much to InstaDeep, to Meta, and to our partner Zindi. We have not finished. There is, I think, one more, but there could be more. There is one more announcement, and I'm going to leave this to Ibrahim to actually announce. This is the first time this has ever happened at the Deep Learning Indaba, so we're really excited to have this partnership. Welcome, Ibrahim.
Thank you, everyone, as well as the organizers. So before I delve into this, I'd like to give a brief overview of how this came into place. So last year, if you remember, at the Deep Learning Indaba in Ghana, Jeff Dean was there, and one of the Indaba ex-organizers who was also there met him, and they had some discussion. And the discussion became a very fruitful one that ended up happening such that Jeff Dean provided financial sponsorship in order to support young African researchers to do a 6-month internship at InstaDeep's office in Kigali. So we'll just quickly take you through what basically everything is. So like I said, this is actually focused on providing master's graduates with substantial hands-on experience in cutting-edge AI research, and the fellowship aims to empower fellows to contribute significantly to the AI field globally and within Africa. So by the awardees engaging in rigorous research projects with InstaDeep researchers and scientists, we expect them to do very amazing work and present their work in conferences such as the Deep Learning Indaba, NeurIPS, ICLR, and the rest. And this fellowship, like I said, is in partnership with InstaDeep and Ascend 360. So Ascend 360 is a non-profit organization, like I said, was co-founded by one of the Indaba ex-organizers. So great work to all the Indaba ex-organizers as well as the volunteers and everyone. Like I said, the partnership is, the program is in partnership with InstaDeep and Deep Learning Indaba. And this is actually part of a broader initiative to continue the efforts made by Deep Learning Indaba in strengthening machine learning across Africa. And this program aims to elevate African voices in the rapidly evolving AI landscape and address the underrepresentation of African researchers on a global scale. And the fellowship, actually, we have a few number of slots. And in order to recognize the work that is being done by the Deep Learning Indaba organizers as well as all the attendees, we reached a conclusion to award one of the slots to one of those present in this year's Deep Learning Indaba. So we actually took time to go through all the poster presentations and the publications, and at the end of the day, we were able to figure out one person that we would like to award the first slot to. The remaining slots are opened to every other person. That is, so there's going to be a QR code here, which you can scan and apply for one of the other slots. And quite interestingly, the person that won this slot today is actually a super person. She's been on this, oh, I said she, okay. Yes, she's been on this stage. I think this will be the either third or fourth time. So quite impressive. So by hearing her being called for different prizes, I was like, oh, that means the team actually did a great job in being able to conclude on awarding her the prize. And with this, I would like to call on Brenda Adagi. Yeah. Yeah, so it's actually this is actually quite impressive for me, given that she actually is one of the many women we have here. So this is actually a call to action to all to everybody here to actually make sure that you do your homework well and do very quality work. So because it's not a coincidence that our team figured her out, and other cash prizes and other things were also awarded to her. So really great job, Brenda, and hope by next year you'll come and tell everyone at the Indaba what you've done during the course of your internship. Thank you very much. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay. We have to also give a massive congratulations to everybody that has been part of the Deep Learning Indaba 2024. We have to understand that we need to work as a team, collaborating, making sure that our work goes further together. And this is the message which we received last night in the stadium, and it's the message which we've been fostering at the Deep Learning Indaba. So continue to build and continue to connect with the people that you met here this week. We'd also like to send a massive thank you to every single person, every single entity, every single community, company that has made the Indaba possible. And I would like us to give a huge round of applause to all of us amazing sponsors that have made this possible. Thank you all so much. To our partners who have been working with us diligently on the ground for the past year to make it happen, thank you so much. AI Hub Senegal and University Amadou Mahtar. To our communities who have gone actively engaged and have been here at the pop-up booth, at the community session all week long. And finally, to our incredible volunteers. Can all of our volunteers please get up on the stage? We'd like to say thank you.
All the volunteers, please come.
Thank you. Thank you so much for helping make this possible. You've been incredible on the ground. We'd also like to give a huge round of applause to our organizers who have been working for a whole year to make this event possible. Can we get all of our organizers onto the stage, please? We made it! We did it! Woo! Awesome. We can hold back the tears until this evening, right? So, see you on the dance floor, potentially also crying, but... So, to remind you, we've had an incredible week, and we really want to hear from you how this week has been. So please, 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 please fill in our feedback survey, leave detailed comments, tell us how this was for you, tell us what you'd like to see next year, and you saw all of us up here on the stage. Please consider also joining this team of incredible organizers that make this happen. Okay, so I guess we hope to see you next year, and I think quite a few of you have been wondering, where are we going to see you next year? Right? Okay, let's see. Woohoo! So yes, we will be in Rwanda next year. Do we have Samuel in the room, actually?
Samuel.
Yes? Will you come join and say hello for our team next year?
He's coming.
Aha, I see. Awesome. So Samuel will be leading the local organizing effort next year to make Rwanda possible, and we're so delighted to have him here this year to share some of our learnings.
Hello, welcome, welcome. Who is excited? Okay. Nimeza. Yeah, I'm going to teach you a word in Kinyarwanda, and I'll teach you a simple words. There are many complicated words, or two words. One is for us, we'll say to you, and then another is for you once you reach there, once you reach Rwanda, right? So, okay, looks like we already have the teachers. Go find them. Yeah, the first one is ikaze. Ikaze mu Rwanda. welcome to Rwanda. The second one is now, once you are in Rwanda, and someone says, ikaze mu Rwanda, you have to greet them. So, muraho. Yeah, that means hello. Okay, see you next year, and thank you.
Thank you. Now, it's time to party, okay? Let's go to party now.
Closing party. We already told you, but just so everybody knows, it is around the corner, 6 minutes, 25 minutes if you want to walk. Buses will depart at 6:30 in front of the auditorium, and we'll come back around starting at 11 o'clock. Thank you so much. Thank everybody for being here. It's been amazing. If anybody has prizes that they need to pick up, please come to the front so we can resolve that. If anybody has prizes from the prize session, come to the front, we can resolve that. Or if you're picking up on behalf of a friend. The weekly supervised computer vision GoPro is here for the person that forgot that one. The people that won cash prizes, please come to the front. The people that won books that didn't pick them up, please come to the front.
So, I can bring it to the person. She's coming at the party, but she's not here today.
You do that. Super.
Anyone that wants USB key, these are Spirit. Any person that takes a book and want a USB key, take it.
Do you know if there's people that are going back to the Avo Sport Hotel before joining the party?
Ask Marie Celeste and Eugene. Maybe that would be a good idea.